Okay, so in this video we're going to take a look at 11 different tools of the money. Some of these have the potential to save you the thousands of the dollars over your lifetime and help you to build the financial freedoms that you're really looking for. So let's just get into this video. My name is Podric. If you are the new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for the more videos like this one. So let's just start right now with the number 11, and this is the understanding the idea of the opportunity cost. So if you are ever taking the entry levels economics courses, you're probably leverage about the opportunity cost. But let me just put this into perspective here. Let me give you an example of this. So say you that you could go to college for 4 years, and every year that costs you $30,000 to $120,000 for the college education. But what you want to do is think about the opportunity cost behind every decision that you make. So the opportunity cost is essentially just the next best options. So think about the real cost of the college. What you could do is, instead of the job thinking it's $120,000, you could think what would you be doing in those 4 years if you weren't in school. Well, maybe be in the workforce, maybe making say $30,000 a year. So that's another $120,000 in the lost potential wage over those 4 years while you were in the schools. So hopefully that's making the sense. You could you can see that if you are looking at it from that perspective, that the opportunity cost includes with the cost of the college is closer to the $250,000 for the college educations. So that's just the example over there. There's tons of the other different examples of the opportunity, but you want to think about the next best opportunity to everything that you have been doing in every decisions that you have been making in terms of the money value. So there's the tense more on this rates, and there's the next one is by understanding the concept of the leverages and how you can leverage your money to make more money. So you probably heard people like the Robert Kiyosaki talking about this all the time. A lot of the real estate investors leverage of their money. So the point of this is that you can control, say, $2 million assets like the house or large apartment complex of the $2 million by only putting down maybe $400,000 or $500,000. And so this is really the point of the leveraging. Now, you can really grow your money very quickly. A lot of the real estate investors, they are not going to pay 100% cash for the brand new apartment complex. Very few real estate investors will pay 100% for the prices for the new property, and that's because they are leveraging their money. So they can get more proper hits at one time instead of putting all of their money walking away into one certain property. So leveraging your money is definitely something you want to look into the future. Number 9 is to capitalize on the crisis. Now, we are not talking about the selling the gas oil for the $20 on the gallons during the hurricane. That's just not the cool. What we are talking about is capitalizing on the financial crisis. So, for example, 2008, 2009, a lot of the people were hit pretty hard. Unemployment, almost 10%, very bad times. But if you got into the market in 2008, 2009, until 2018, you made a killing and just about anything that you purchased. So that's the whole point of this. Warren Buffett is completely seeing anything that you want to be fearful when other are the greedy, and greedy when other are the fearful. So when everybody running away because the market melting down and collapsing, maybe that's the time when you want to consider getting into the market. Now, you might not always be the best of what day, but generally speaking, if you see the crisis coming, you want to run into the crisis instead of the running away from the crisis. Number 8 is to hack your taxes. So we are not talking about the tax evasions or the tax fraud, nothing illegal here. So we are talking about the legal loopholes within the US government, where you can get away with paying US taxes by having certain assets and as the using certain exchanges and rules have been put in the places primarily by the rich for the rich, but you can use those tools that the rich put in place for yourself too, because if you look at the top 0.1% of Americans, a lot of them are paying US taxes. There is somebody who might be making the $250,000 a year, and if you member of the point Warren Buffett said that the actually pays less in taxes as the percentage of his incomes that his secretary does. So there's a lot of the loopholes within the government and how you can get around some of these taxes. For example, long-term capital gains taxes, you could use 131 exchange for the real estate. So there's a lot of different loopholes within that. You have to shift through its just sit down and take a look at it. Do some reading on the instead of the just showing up for the tax day and doing the TurboTax and submitting everything. Really dig into the deep and you can find loopholes to avoid taxes legally without any issues. So that is number 8. It's something that you could save a lot of the money over your lifetime. Number 7, having the rich friends can almost directly correlate into you yourself being rich. So if you ever heard that the comment saying that you are the average of your 5 closest friends, if you just take the minute to think about this, say you were friends with Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Lopez Grant, Cardone, many rich people where you would be in the life changes. Are you the pretty rich as well? You're the pretty well off because you're hanging out with the people who have tons of the money. So you're throwing ideas of the each over you're standing businesses together. But if you're hanging out at the bar 5 nights a week, hanging out with your buds, you're the 5 closest friends, and they are not doing anything well. Chances are you're not. Gonna do much either. So you want to think about who you are handing out with and how you can set yourself up for the success in the future, and that is by the handing out with the people who are successful, who do have money and who have made money on their own. So number 6, money follows attentions. This one's pretty explanatory. Just a great example of this would be in the Logan Paul boxing match. He was boxing somebody in the couple of days ago, and he ended up making the millions of the dollars from the amateur boxing matches because he has eyes on him. He is a lot of the people watching him, whereas the real, pro boxers who just entered the league by making the couple of thousands of dollars from the fight. So money does follow attention so very much. So if you have the millions of the eyes on you, it almost directly correlates to have the money looked at Walmart yodeling kind kid who is in the Walmart now, that everybody knows him. He is making the thousands of the dollars all the time because people were just looking out. He can throw up and somewhere and make $10,000 and advertisements for the wearing some t-shirts or some hat, and so that is the whole point of this money flows. Attention, keep that in mind as you go forward in your life. So number 5 is quite possibly my favorite on this list, and that's understanding the concept of the sunk cost and how that cost can affect you into your everyday lives. So this is something you're probably also learn in some type of the economic courses if you take that in college or at some point in your life. And some cost, the best way to explain this, the sunk cost is the cost that's already been included that you can get back. So let me just give you an example of this and how this can pay out in your everyday life. So a few weeks ago I bought the bus tickets to the New York. It was like the $48, and a couple of days before I went on that bus, my friend called me up and said, "Hey, I am going to New York the same exact day that you're going to drive into this. Do you want me to drive you for free?" And I said, "Well, wait a minute. Let me think about what I already bought a bus ticket. The cross has already been included." Now, a lot of the people at the point they would say, "Okay, well, maybe I would go to New York faster if I were with my friends. I'd rather more fun. I'd be able to hang out with them, or I could take the bus because I already paid for the bus." Take it in interest slightly enough, a look of people will just take the bus because they paid for the bus tickets. Hopefully this is making sense. Hopefully I'm explaining this as easily as possible, but a lot of the people would choose to take the bus just because they already paid for it, and is the sorry friend, I already paid for the bus, therefore I kind of have to go to the bus because I already paid for it. But in reality you should really go for the point where you're already paid, you can't get that money back. So from that point forward, you might as well not even factor that money into your decisions. And going forward, hopefully that making sense. If you have questions, leave them down below, and I will explain it a little bit better to you. But a lot of the businesses owners actually fall into this trap of not understanding the sunk cost. Where they will sink $2 million into the projects, and after the $2 million they realize it's not working out, it's not ever going to work out, but for some reasons they dumped more money into that, and they just keep dumping more money into it to sort of make themselves feel better, hope that maybe one day it will work. But in reality, that's the sunk cost of the $2 million already was. It might already be the disasters of the projects. Maybe they are trying to build the new buildings, and it's not going to work out numbers for compound interest. This is something that's quoted by the Albert Einstein himself. Say that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. You need to understand that your money can make money on the top of itself, and every year it can compound on the top of itself until you're making incredible amounts of the money every single year. So compound interest is just underrated, that concept, and how it works, and how you can go forward in your life making more money every single year, because it's compounding on the top of each other, and you might be making 10% per year, and then you add 10% on top of that, and you're making more and more and more every single year. So it's not simple interest, it's a compounding interest. Number 3, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. So many people make these mistakes when they go to buy the car, and they can either buy the minivan for the 20 grand or the Escalade for the 90 grand. Now, both cars will get you from A to B, pretty similar cars, but one's just going to the cost of $70,000 more than the other, but you want to pick your kids from the soccer in the really nice cars with the leather seats, and that's gonna create a loser, because overall for your money, for your financial wealth is going to hurt you when you are making those decisions to get 80-inch TVs just to beat your friends who might have gotten 55-inch TV, just so you can be the cooler that them. Don't worry about that crap, just do you and build your wealth. Also spending money on the things that you really do want in your life. You don't to scroll everything away in your life, but be smart, and don't just try to beat out people just to sort of it in with this. with society. So that's number 3. It's very important to the next one to understand the difference between the good debt and the bad debt. Now, there's really is a difference. Good debt could be something like the student loan debt, where you're investing into yourself and hopefully you are gonna to pay back that debt so that you can get more income in the future. Maybe you can make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year versus $30,000 a year. If you didn't go to the college, so student loans debt can be the good debt. Another type of the good debt could be something like that they can auto mortgage on the investment property. Maybe you bought the part of the duplex or the triplex. And you are building the equality, and that home you are becoming the landlord, and you are taking the good debt that we would call the good debt. That's what would be something like the credit card debt, personal loans for the vacations, something sometimes car loans if you don't need a car. So those are bad debts, and those are good debts. So the number one rule of the money is that money does not directly correlate with the happiness, and you need to understand this, that if you think that if you are not happy and if you had the $1 million you're going to be happy, that's not always the case. If you look at the lottery winners, the vast majority of them say that they are actually being happier before they won the lottery. You can look that up on, and you can Google it right now. A lot of the lottery winners were happier before they won the lottery. So just because you have money doesn't mean you're gonna be happy. A lot of the people who have millions of dollars sadly commit suicide. They kill themselves, so it doesn't directly correlate with the money. You don't want to think that happiness and the money go directly hand in hand. Sure, it does correlate. Helps studies have proven that it does help increase happiness and living quality, obviously, but it's not the number one key. So make sure you're hanging out with your friends and family. Don't focus too much on the point where you're cutting out friends, you're cutting out family, so you can't just focus on the building your house. I did that for the couple months at the one point in my life, and it just wasn't worth it. So don't do that. Make sure that you are connected with the friends and family. You having a good time in your life, because that's what life is all about. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Any questions, comments, leave them down below. Don't forget to check out this video right here, and I will see you everybody next time.